So as some of us are aware, we were continuing with psychic education, and the workbook that we were following was this psychic education, a workbook by Huppes. And so we were, last time we finished surrender, not finished surrender. Surrender is lifetime, life ongoing, but the topic we just covered up. And today it's the last topic here in self preparation. So all these topics we covered in self preparation. So we started with self observation. The topics, I'm just going to like read out the topics for us. Then the topic came in search of the soul. Then purification 1, purification 2. In 2 episodes we took purification. Then effort, choice and change, and surrender. And now the last topic in self preparation is unification. So let us start with by sharing reflections, and keep a paper and pencil handy, because we'll be making a word web kind of a thing. So it would be nice if you can have something handy. So any thoughts on unification? What is hinted when we use the word unification? Any thoughts on that? And what is the need to unify the being? Whatever comes to you. Yeah, Yasho, Snehi, Shreya just joined. So Shreya, I'm just asking us, the new topic that we are starting today is unification of the being. And I'm just inviting everyone to share the reflections on the word unification, if whatever reflections you may have at the moment. Anyone?
So if
I
I may
think-
go.
Yes, please go ahead.
Right. So unification of the being, we are so torn up between these various aspects of ourselves. The mind says something else, the heart says something else, your ambition says something else, and your core asks for something else. So if all those aspects of your being, so at the emotional level, at the intellectual level, at the level of the body, if we start speaking one language, if life would be then life would be beautiful, not being torn up into various parts. That, and another aspect to it could be that only once we realize that we are part of, we're not just an individual, right? We this segregation that we have between ourselves and the others, if that can be done away with, then again the true purpose of life would come across.
Beautiful. So Shreya, you also wanted to share your thoughts on the word unification and the need of it and what it might indicate.
It was almost on the lines of what Yasho just shared. It's the word unification. The very first thought that comes in when I hear the word is just an alignment between physical, mental, emotional, at all levels. That there is no separate when it comes to it. And although in daily moments, I may, for example, treat my physical body as a separate body and emotional body as separate, but just a unification of all these, that they are one. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say.
Thank you. So, Taru, we were just sharing our thoughts on the word unification, which is the topic that we will start today. Unification of the being. So, if there are any present reflections, we are sharing that. If you have any thoughts on the word unification.
Yeah, nothing as such. I think I was just listening to Shreya. I would agree with that, but nothing ekdam se experiment. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Okay, so I was not able to prepare the slides this time because of my own, uh, I would say, time management issues. But I'm going to use this workbook that we are taking as a reference, and I'll read something from it, and then if some people can keep pencil and a paper handy, because we'll be creating a word web after I read what I'm going to read from this book. So, unification is the work of bringing all the parts of your being under the control of your psychic center. So, by now, for those of us who understand Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's terminology, we would know what they are referring by the psychic center, psychic being. And in other words, in simpler terms, we can say it is the center of good heart in us, goodwill, kindness, compassion, enlightened clarity of the mind. All this is coming from the psychic center. So, for those of us who may not resonate with psychic center or psychic being, we can just say how to live, as Yeshu was using, how to live a beautiful life, how to have beauty in thoughts, beauty in feelings, and beauty in just daily simple living. And that's the psychic living. That's the true living, inner living. So, Mother say, this is again the words of the author. Unification is the work of bringing all parts of your being under control of your psychic center. To do this fully, you must make the union with the divine the most important aim in your life. Now, we are going to reflect over this, because what do we mean by the word divine? And if I don't reflect over this, then I would not even know how to do the unification, what to do, as Sneh was sharing, unification with what, you know? So we are going to take up this word divine, and we are going to make a word web. I think most of us would know what a word web would be. So you put divine in the center, make a circle or a square or star or whatever around it, and then you radiate rays out of it like arrows, and whatever in your reflections, in your silences, if you say the word divine, what comes to you, those are the words you are going to write on the uh, arrows. Uh, would that make sense? Are you able to follow my broken English? Yes, okay.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Okay, ठीक है. So let us start, and feel free to take your time. Silence yourself first. And yeah, Gaurav, you just joined. We are going to begin new topic today, unification of the being. And I just read a couple of lines for all of us, and we are going to create a word web on a pencil, using a pencil and a paper. So if you have something handy and if you want to do the exercise, and I'll
Yeah,
just,
I'll do.
I'll read it out again, what is to be done. So I just read out, unification is the work of bringing all the parts of your being under the control of your psychic center. And psychic center is the center of good heart, kindness, intelligence, clarity, wisdom, compassion, all, beauty, harmony. So it is the center of that center full of light and love in all of us. And we are going to work with ourselves in trying to bring all the parts, mental parts, emotional parts, physical parts, under the influence of the psychic center. So the next line I read is, to do the unification work, you must make the union with the divine the most important aim in your life. And we are going to explore, what does divine mean to me. When I use the word divine, for some of us it may be Shanti, for some of us it may be joy. So these are the words that come in the thoughts in mind when we think of the word divine. So we are going to create a word web around the word divine. So write divine in the center and take out several arrows from it and just write down all those words that come to your mind when you think of the word divine. Yeah? And then we will share our reflections. Okay, so Taru, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So basically, word web, na? Yeah. So love, acceptance, there's a new chalkboard also, you know, na, on Zoom. Have you ever used it? आप म्यूट पे हो शायद.
अच्छा, या हाँ बताओ कहाँ से चॉकबोर्ड पे जाना है?
Since I am not logged into Living Light, but there was this new feature of chalkboard which makes this much easier. But maybe we can figure out later. अभी आप करो.
चलो ठीक है हाँ बताओ. Love, acceptance.
Acceptance हो गया. Compassion. I mean, almost the same things though.
हाँ yeah, we'll
Yeah.
put it here only. Compassion.
Yeah.
ठीक
Yeah.
है.
All encompassing.
हम्म नहीं लिख रही मैं, आगे बोलो.
ठीक है. Peace हो गया. वो भी same kind of.
नहीं peace would be different. Yeah, I'll put it here. All encompass. I've mental note I've
Yeah.
made, but
ठीक
yeah.
है.
Peace.
All forgiving.
Forgiving. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful.
Then came a series that my truth,
Yeah. Truth.
my my truth, right? Like, and then my origin,
Hmm.
my end
Hmm.
lives in me.
Hmm.
And although I had a lot of resistance, but it ended in like me, right? Like,
Okay. So the only reality one can say है ना जो आप your
yeah,
हाँ only reality, the sole reality. ठीक है. Sorry for this non-beautiful board. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, anyone who wants to go next? And if they are similar, no matter, we'll just take them up and add on if you are having some different points, so I will add on. Gaurav, you wanted to go next? Okay, Snehi. Divine joy. Yeah.
Maybe I'll wait for some other person to go ahead.
Okay, ji, ठीक है. So joy is, we can add this on. Joy. Wisdom, yeah, definitely. Wisdom. Oh, this is good. Cursive writing is coming out good. Light of knowing. Empathy would come towards compassion, self-belief, faith, surrender, sense of humor. Nice. Conscious of death. Conscious of death का क्या meaning हुआ? What do you want to say here, Snehi? Conscious of death. हाँ आवाज नहीं आई, फिर से बोलो.
Just being conscious of the fact that death may come any moment.
Okay, your voice is somehow not clear for me. Okay. Thank you, Snehi. Thank you. Yeah, anyone wants to add on more? So if you have different ones, just add on. Share it. Beauty, freedom, light, expansion. Okay, perfect. So allowance would be in acceptance and compassion. And then we can add beauty. Beauty. Freedom, right? Freedom. चलो और बताओ जी. Anyone else?
Yeah, let me add some material things to it.
हाँ,
Recognition maybe.
Recognition or cognition?
Recognition.
Recognition, okay.
Yeah.
What kind of recognition? You are talking of validation?
Yeah. Kind of validation. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Recognition. Then
And the self-satisfaction that you get from a good job done, content.
contentment. Okay.
Yeah.
Contentment.
And transcendence from traveling that you get.
Transcendence means थोड़ा simple उसमें बोलो. Simple.
Getting lost, just traveling, just
Travel.
yeah.
स्नेही आपकी आवाज मेरे को बिल्कुल नहीं आ रही. Death may come at any moment. Being aware of that. That is what I meant. Okay. Perfect. Conscious of death. ठीक है. Yeah, Gaurav, transcendence ka please elaborate more so that I can write.
Yeah, the happiness that you get from traveling new places and being one with the
Okay.
people there.
Okay, okay. So you would you mind if I write expansion?
Yeah, that's also
Expansion.
another word. Yeah.
ठीक है.
Yeah.
ठीक है. Expansion. Perfect. Yeah. Anything more? Anyone? Strength. Anyone wants to add on strength? Inner strength. Maybe. I think we have not written strength. Yasho and Shreya, you have not shared anything. If you want to, please do.
I did, Monica. I wrote in the chat.
Oh, you did? Oh, I missed it. Oh, okay. Yeah, आपका
You have
था.
included it.
Okay, okay. Allowance, joy, beauty, freedom, light expanded. Okay, perfect. So light would come towards here, wisdom. ठीक है. So I think this is nice. Yasho? Yeah, please.
So I had written nature and all the material aspects of divine, nature, animals. You see the divine in children.
Yeah. So this would also come with what Taru was sharing earlier, all encompassing, right? So nature and all. नहीं, तरु को ऐसा ना लगे कि मैंने वर्ड नहीं लिया इतना अच्छा. लिखना मुश्किल हो रहा है, वो अलग बात है. But yeah. Anything more?
Just like mystical,
Okay.
there's that element of
Yeah, definitely. Mystical. Perfect. So I think this is nice and also necessary, because when I want to unite with the divine, when I want to work from a higher light, I should at least be aware what is this higher light? What do I mean by the word divine? So I think these words are a beautiful indicators that whenever I do any action, whenever I do any, look at my thoughts, are they in alignment with all of these? So my thoughts, are they in alignment with expansion? For example, are they beautiful? Are they full of love? Now again, I think we can create a web on love also, because it's a word often misused. Are they forgiving? Are they joyful? Are they peaceful? Are they full of goodness? Are they one? Are they in alignment with we being one with each other? All encompassing. Are they providing strength to me and to others? Because often we engage in weakening thoughts also. We really kind of keep hitting ourselves and we don't even realize. So the work of unification, I'll read the line again where we stopped. To do the work of unification, you must make the union with the divine the most important aim in your life. So because this cannot be done without willingness, if we are ready, if I am ready now, I have suffered enough, banged my heads on the wall enough, here and there, then I can be ready that yes, I want to follow light, I want to follow love and beauty, compassion, strength, wisdom, freedom in my thoughts, in my feelings, in my action. So this is how the work of unification can start. Yes, Taru?
Yeah, I just, this recognition, how, like, I'm just looking at each word and how you said, na, how if I'm doing something, I should use this, that, how would that fit in if you could help me with that?
So I think Gaurav would be able to talk about it because since this came from Gaurav. But what I understand is this is basically validation that I exist. Usually we are living with a sense of lack in which we are wanting to be recognized, to be loved, to be belonging, to each one of us. So maybe Gaurav could add what he meant. Yeah, Gaurav?
No, I think you nailed it. It's absolutely what you said. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So
And
basically just feeling approved by the universe.
yeah, more like on the lines of self-love, self-validation.
Self-validation. Yeah, yeah. Knowing that we are all worthy, no matter what, we are all worthy. Yeah. Now, I'll just use the book, the reference book, and go further. To prepare for the union, you will have to gather all your thoughts, feelings, and actions around the psychic being. So this would be my psychic center. Those of us who often wonder what is the psychic being, what does mother want to say, where is the psychic being? In Buddhism, we word the use bodhicitta, or bodhisattva. It's the same thing. It's the center of goodness in us, basically. Things which are lofty and higher, and they are not right now there with me. My life is not all beautiful and all expanded, but I would like to move towards it. That's my destiny, and it's my birthright also. So, and keep sharing, yeah, whatever comes in between. Then he shares, as long as there is no contact with the psychic entity, this cannot be done. So psychic entity means the center of goodness in me. So if I am a bit reflective and a bit contemplative, definitely all of us from time to time keep touching this center of goodness in us. Don't we? All of us do that. A very simple act of kindness at the red light, maybe letting the other car go first. It may be that simple. Maybe slowing down for a pedestrian, walker. And we have all touched this space again and again. We do. रोटियां मान लो कम बन गई तो you say कि अच्छा मैं कम खा लेती हूँ एक. Maybe the other people can have. So these simple things which we all keep on touching in everyday life. Now this does not have to be neglected. We have to make it like in forefront. Let it come to forefront. So as long as there is no contact with the psychic entity, no goodness in life, this cannot be done. This unification cannot be done, because then I don't have any ideal कि अच्छा मुझे इसकी तरफ जाना है. But once you are now and then, so it's not a continuous contact. He's sharing, but once you are now and then in contact, off and on, in contact with your psychic center, now you can start the process of unification. So I think all of us would fall in that category. It's hard to believe that we don't have touch with goodness. So in this chapter, we are going to focus on this process of unification and alongside some other things. So that's the introduction. Is it okay if I remove the share screen? Yeah, I think we know what we are talking about. Okay. So anything so far, anyone? So unfortunately, I don't have the slide as I said today, so I can't invite others to read, but I can definitely read myself and then we can stop and reflect. Or maybe I have a PDF. Shall I pull up the PDF? Because I'll usually prefer if one of us. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so I got it. I have it in front. Just a second. So this is what I had shared this PDF with everyone. I hope we have access to it. And we are going to go down to unification. 113. Yeah, so this is what we did. We just completed the first introduction, and if one of us, now that we have it in front, could read this by the mother. Yeah, anyone? Please unmute and read.
Shall I?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
To develop one's consciousness, unify one's being, to go within in order to enter more and more into contact with one's psychic being, to take up all the parts, all the movements, all the activities of one's being, and to put them before this psychic consciousness so that they fall into their true place in relation to the center. Finally, to organize all one's aspiration towards the divine and one's progress towards the divine, the mother.
Thank you, Gaurav. So I think now it's easier to relate with the word divine. So divine is peace, divine is progress, divine is joy, freedom, all these ideals, higher ideals that I have, clarity of mind. So uh, I think this is important for me because when I'm embarking on the path of unification, I must know what am I going towards, right? So yeah, Snehi, can't hear you if you're speaking. I don't know. So mother says to become conscious. So here it comes, the importance of being conscious of what is happening in me. Nowadays we also can call it being mindful of what I am doing, what I am thinking, what I am feeling. Just being aware of it. It's not that the thinking is going up by default, the feelings are happening by default, and I don't even know what's happening in the being. So to become conscious, right? To take up all the parts, all the movements, all the activities of one's being. So one has to become more and more conscious of each thought happening during the day. Even the dream time, what's happening? What are the thoughts that are coming up through the dreams? Because dreams are a portal into our subconscious and even deeper layers. So what is happening? And it's not that we have to analyze it logically, it's just that I am aware what's happening. Like a guard is there in the fort, who knows who is the stranger, who is the visitor who wants to come inside. So to take up all the parts, all the movements, ripples that keep on happening in our being, all the activities of one's being, the actions, even the outward actions. Where do I spend the 24 hours of a full day? Where are they gone? In what activities am I involved? And what am I thinking while I am there? So all this has to be taken, one has to become conscious of it, and this has to be put in front of this light of psychic consciousness. Is this in alignment with beauty? Is this in alignment with light? Is this in alignment with love, freedom, expansion, joy, compassion, oneness, all that we just shared? So that they fall into their true place in relation to this center. So I am as if, I feel that as if I have given myself this lofty light or ideal in front of me, and whenever I stray, I just kind of realign myself according to those ideals that I have put in front of me. And why do I want to do that? Because now I am convinced that that is the path for me. Because one cannot be convinced into it. If you are not yet convinced that this is the path for you, then maybe follow whatever that interests you better. So we don't have to force ourselves here, and with force we can't do much. We break ourselves down with force. Whatever is making me more peaceful, more joyful, more expanded, more progressive, more free, feeling of a freeness in life, that I'm really living life. So towards that I take my actions, towards that I take my thoughts, towards that I take my feelings, whenever I become conscious of them. So anyone wants to share here? Okay, so I would like if one of us can read this one by the mother. Thank you. Yeah, anyone?
Yeah, मोनिका थोड़ा zoom in और कर दो कि I'm on the phone, मुझे थोड़ा कम दिख रहा है.
हाँ.
Yeah, thank you. In the depths of your consciousness is the psychic being, the temple of the divine within you. This is the center round which should come about the unification of all these divergent paths, all these contradictory movements of your being. Once you have got the consciousness of the psychic being and its aspiration, these doubts and difficulties can be destroyed. It takes more or less time, but you will surely succeed in the end. The mother.
Thank you. So I think this is very the word that we wrote, mystical, because it's something like hidden, right? Uh, we can talk about this inner flame or inner center. Kabir says about Lal Hira, he talks about go deep in your being and find out the treasure. Find out the treasure. Mother talks about that in the depths of your consciousness is this psychic being, the temple of the divine in you. So I think this can also be related with the word mystical that we were sharing in connection with divine. And although it is mystical, yet it has simpler manifestations also, which is the goodness, the basic goodness as a human being. This is the center around which should come. So in the beginning, Snehi was asking, unification with what? Unification with this light in me, this palace or temple in me of the divine. And it is impossible that we are not in touch with that. If we close our eyes and if we recall places and in time and space, if we recall those moments where we have truly, very concretely felt something higher, something beautiful in us or others, where we have been deeply touched, there would be, I think we would be in touch with that space, where we were given a glimpse of it. So even if once we have a glimpse of it, we can make it our life if we are ready. That's what needs to be done. And it's more inner work rather than outer. I think it's a lot of inner work, because all the time I just have to be conscious of what's happening in my being, right? And I have to just realign and align it to my true center, the light, the love, the beauty, the harmony. Is it in alignment? Would I want this? Would I want to follow the selfish impulse that has come up? Or would I now want to transform it because I've had this enough? So what would I do? And this is also very interesting. Once you have uh, got the consciousness of the psychic being and its aspiration, these doubts and difficulties can be destroyed. So even a bit of us, is now ready to offer ourselves to the universe. That अपने लिए जिंदगी बहुत जी ली. I've really lived for my little individual self so much. Can I now expand myself and leave my selfish impulses aside and offer my presence? So this self offering to the universe is a part of the psychic instinct. Mother says that psychic is, by default, it's devoted to the divine. And we talk of the divine, we talk of everything that we discussed: truth, peace, beauty, joy, freedom, everything. So there is something in us which is wanting to offer ourselves to the world. How can I be benefit to you today? Something like that. So mother is sharing that once you have got the consciousness, then these doubts and difficulties will be destroyed. Then बार-बार doubt नहीं आएगा कि करूं कि नहीं करूं, अच्छा मेरा क्या फायदा है, मेरे को क्या मिलेगा. These doubts will not come now, because there is a joy in offering your presence and time for the right cause. And I think it's parallelly, it's also very important that if this is not interesting me, if this is not of the most prior interest for me, then I should actually be spending time in whatever calls my interest, not forcing myself on the path, because everything is there for a reason. So even if I have inclinations and interests that still are more calling and appealing, follow it. It's much better to remain with passions, mother says, than to remain in inertia, a kind of a stagnancy. So anything here, anyone? Snehi, I don't know if you are sharing, unmuting again and again, but we can't hear you at all. So I'm not sure, and feel free to type if your audio is not clear. Feel free to type in the chat window. Yeah, Taru?
Yeah, I got disconnected, so I don't know if I already covered this, but when I read it, I was reminded of that death booklet that we had read, how it was like that once you leave the body, if the soul is unified, around the psychic being, not the soul, I mean the different parts of your being, if they're unified around the psychic being, then they all just go to the, that consciousness together. Otherwise, if it's dispersed, the different sheets of us, right, the vital, the mental and all, they go into different planes. And then, they just, it's like just you add on to your I don't know what word to use, but it's just harder. So again, and it said that you have to prepare for your death. So if you could do this, like this centralizing your psychic being while you're alive, it would not even, not only benefit you right now, but it would benefit you after you leave the body. And of course, it would benefit, everybody else too if we could do that. So I don't know if it's it's the right place to share that, but I was just
No,
reminded.
definitely. I think because of your sharing, I've just pulled it up. It's very good. I think it's connected very well with what we are sharing. So I think this reminds us of the task to be done as human beings. है ना, that unification, जैसे कहते हैं ना बार बार, I think we discuss again and again कि मरने के बाद मोक्ष मिल जाएगा. And Kabir says that मरने के बाद तो कोई उम्मीद नहीं है, जो करना है तुमने जिंदे में ही करना है. So Mother and Sri Aurobindo's words are also resonating with that we have to unify the being right now. That is to be done right now. So we can take this up. Yeah. So this is also very nice, now that we are coming towards that. Suppose you were living a life of desire, passion, and impulse, which many of us do, most of us. You live with your vital being dominant in you, this expectation, that demand, this impulse, that instinct. But if you live with spiritual effort, what we were talking right now, trying to unify, for example, my being, with great goodwill, the desire to do things well, and an unselfishness, a will for progress, you live with the psychic being dominant in you. It's very simple, very, very simple. And many of us may be doing this without even knowing the word psychic being. Then you are about to leave your body. All these beings, the mental being, the feeling being, the vital being, and the physical being, they start to disperse. When you are about to leave your body, all these beings start to disperse. Only if you are a very advanced yogi and have been able to unify your being around the divine center, do these beings remain bound together. So I think this is what you hinted at. And also, if you have not known how to unify yourself, then at the time of death, all that is dispersed. Each one returns to its domain. So the mental being returns in the mental domain, the vital beings goes away. So there is no trace of you as if left if you have not unified. For example, with regard to the vital being, now this is very interesting, all your different desires will be separated and each one run towards its own realization. This is actually hilarious and also horrible, because if, for example, I had a craving for something and that craving I was not able to dissolve with expanding consciousness, then this craving will actually piggyback on somebody else. So imagine that you had some lust or something, anything, addiction of any sort, and now you are gone, you are drop dead. But that addiction is actually piggybacking on somebody else. It's living through somebody else. So for example, with regard to vital being, all your different desires will be separated and each one run towards its own realization, quite independently. For the physical being will no longer be there to hold them together. But I think now again very important, if you have united your consciousness with the psychic consciousness, when you die, you remain conscious of your psychic being. I think this would also talk about, Snehi, what you were writing, being conscious of when death is happening. I'm conscious. Consciousness, I'm there as consciousness. I know myself as consciousness, but this has to be practiced first when we are alive. Can't just happen when we are dead. Yeah. And the psychic being returns to psychic world, which is a world of bliss and delight and peace and tranquility and growing knowledge. Yeah. And he also shares that if we have been able to unify, then even the mental being, vital being, physical being, they can share the immortality of the psychic being. So this part here, uh, yeah. So quite, I think, in alignment with what we were discussing, I'm glad you brought it up. So this PDF has been shared with everyone in the Friday study circle. If you don't have it and if you want, you can just message and I can share. So any challenges anyone wants to share while we are trying to unify our being? Just kind of closing reflections. No challenges.
I think I will share. It's not no, it was like kahan se shuru karu, honestly. It's like when you were discussing about, when we had made that arrows and stuff, I could see, like when you said, you have to look at these things when we are getting on or doing anything. Like there is something in me that wants some balance. Like, it doesn't want to go all in. Like there's something that pulls it back. I don't know, maybe ये जो एक regular life में एक balance सिखाया जाता है, maybe that is what is, it's like something somehow going all in, not there yet, you know,
मतलब अभी
कि अभी आंखें
कुछ
इधर
देर,
इधर
कुछ कुछ समय बाद, है ना, ऐसा लगता है कुछ समय बाद थोड़ा रुक के.
हाँ, या मतलब बहुत जरूरी है. I mean, I know, like obviously look at this, read about that, look at, how the desires will run, da, 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 da. Okay, चलो अभी एक कॉफी तो पी लूं, उसके बाद I'll sit on it. You know how these dispersions, these distractions, like they have not, I don't know, जैसे hold ढीला हो रहा है. And yet it's surprising, how they say that. I had once heard this, I found it beautiful, that if your kid say is late from school, say by half an hour, 45 minutes and all, ये पुराने time का I think example है, when cell phones and GPS trackers on the school buses were not there, that how your heart would kind of be जैसे व्याकुल, जैसे how it would kind of be like, where is he, I want to know, I want to find. So one of the saints, he was saying that, does your heart want the divine that badly, right? Like even I think there's a beautiful example of Ramakrishna, right? That when somebody had, I don't know, he had put Vivekananda in water, na? And he was asking to breathe and he couldn't. And he was like, when you'll ask for the divine so badly as you want to breathe underwater if I push you. So logically it feels that I should be there. I know all the facts conceptually, factually, and yet I'm not. So I think, yeah, if like I can also go on and on, but that could be the crux of it. That how how mother speaks about sincerity. Like I see a lot of insincerity, because if I'm choosing something other than what I should be choosing, sincerity at that, like, and I'm being so insincere that regard so many times a day. So, yeah.
I think for me it comes back again what you were sharing to have I suffered enough? Because for me sincerity really takes a peak through suffering. So I feel that it's a fail-safe mechanism that the divine has created for us. That, for example, you are sharing that I want to go this way, but something doesn't want to go totally deep end, and maybe I want to for now I want to take this way. So even if I take this way, the beauty is that this way can also lead me towards that, because ultimately whatever is little or giving me pleasure, for example, right now, very soon it will turn to suffering. Very soon. There is nothing on this planet that can give you lasting pleasure. There's nothing made like that. So it's almost a fail safe mechanism that even if, okay, this interests me, truth doesn't interest me, okay, follow that.
I
Follow
think
that.
that's the problem.
Hmm.
And what I was thinking when even I was talking, that it's not that then I fall. It's like I don't go, if I want to go here, I don't go here.
Hmm.
If I went here, I would suffer and I'll be maybe back here with more resolve, right?
Hmm.
Stay here, but I get dispersed, right? I get
Hmm.
so I'm moving here, but slowly, slowly, slowly. If I would leave here and be here, I know, जैसे धोबी का वो पड़ता है types. That would be, I feel, more honest maybe, or more, it I'm just talking from my whatever के पता नहीं होगा क्या, but it seems that would be faster, right? कि हाँ फिर पूरी तरह वहां जाओ ना, फिर इधर क्यों दुम हिला रहे हो? That seems more sincere, and yet I don't know this. Yeah, okay, I think I'm
Hmm.
done.
तो हमारी हालत वो वैसी है ना, जो कबीर कहते हैं ना, लकड़ी जल कोयला बनी, कोयला जल बन भयो है राख, मैं अभागन यूं जली, ना कोयला बनी ना राख. So he says this is what happens with those of us who are neither here neither there, कि हम फिर ना पूरे जल के राख बन जाते हैं, जो अब बिल्कुल शांत है, कूल है, राख हैज कूलिंग प्रॉपर्टीज, और लकड़ी बन गई कोयला. अब कोयला भी बड़े काम का है, कोयला गिव्स एनर्जी और कैन बी यूज्ड फॉर फूड. बट मैं अभागन यूं जली, ना कोयला बनी ना राख. सो ना इस काम की ना उस काम की. बट देन आई फील एवरी स्टेज हैज इट्स ओन पर्पस. या I think that's why it's very interesting to see that many stories of masters that we listen, or people who just jumped in immediately into, spirituality or in the deep end, uh, they suffered really badly, really, like suffering came like very intensely in their life. So in order to save themselves, they had to plunge into the deep end. Now then, when I don't have to really bother much about saving myself, I'm okay. Then why the deep end required? One can also question ki what is the need of deep
Yeah,
end?
and seeing, like, knowing this, right? Matlab, maybe obviously there's something that doesn't believe in it fully, but knowing that sudhar jao, otherwise there will be more suffering.
Hmm.
Here talking this, discussing this, कि हाँ हाँ suffering obviously नहीं आई है अभी तक पूरी, and yet I'm like sitting here and talking कि क्या करूँ? Like, it's
Hmm.
just the paradox of all this, or the extent of my ignorance, है ना?
Hmm.
That jadta or inert
Hmm. Yeah.
is confounding.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Yeah, I'll pass on the challenges now to somebody else.
One more Kabir couplet I am reminded of. He says, जिन खोजा तिन पाइया गहरे पानी पैठ, मैं बपुरा बूडन डरा रहा किनारे बैठ. So I think most of us, for a very long time, keep sitting at the corners. डूबने के डर से, he says that डूबने के डर से कहीं डूब ना जाऊं, I kept standing on the shore. और जिसको ढूंढना था उसने प्लंज करके पा लिया. जिसको ढूंढना था, वही जो आप बता रहे थे ना, स्वामी विवेकानंद टाइप intensity that, that I want breath so badly, almost like that. And that's why I feel that for my life, I think, and as we keep on reading stories also, that suffering is such a big blessing in disguise, because in suffering you pant for a breath. You are either going to die, or if you want to save, you have to just take a deep plunge, and in that miracles do happen.
Once Acharya Prashant, had given this example that he was talking about balance and how it's like a hindrance on this path. And he said that whatever you do, if you could do it to an extreme,
Mm.
other end the God is there. So, like he had given the example of Ravan, that when he hated, he hated with all, when he was evil, I think not hate, when he was evil, he was an extremism of evil. So then Ram had to come and kill him himself. And obviously, if Ram is killing you, you are, how they say that now you are okay. So if you have to go to do something, even whatever you choose, but then do it fully, like become that, like you were saying, burn and become Koila, then there is still some possibility. Otherwise, this, hanging in between, not here, not there,
Mhm.
that's just is not of any good.
Yeah, yeah. So anybody else, any last comments before we wind up? All right. So wishing everyone very good practice of unification. May we become more conscious of our thoughts, more conscious of our feelings, and may we take them towards light and goodness. And thank you for joining. Thank you, everyone. Bye.